The last thing Sarah Carter needed that night was a flat tire. It had been an exhausting shift at the cafe, the kind where the hours felt twice as long and the tips half as much. She had barely made it onto the freeway before her old sedan started to wobble, a deep, unsettling thump, 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 vibrating through the wheel. No, 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 she muttered, gripping the steering wheel tighter as she veered toward the shoulder. As soon as she stepped out of the car, the reality hit her. She was alone. It was past midnight, and her phone was at 5%. Sarah sighed, hugging herself as a gust of wind swept across the near-empty highway. The occasional truck roared past, shaking the ground beneath her feet, but no one stopped. She popped the trunk, hoping by some miracle she had a spare tire. No luck, just an old jack, some crumpled grocery bags, and a half-empty bottle of windshield wiper fluid. She tapped at her phone screen, hoping to call roadside assistance before the battery died. As the loading icon spun, her screen flickered and then nothing. Her phone was dead. Great, she mumbled, pressing her hands to her temples. Then she heard it. A low, steady rumble. At first she thought it was another truck, but the sound was different. Smoother, controlled. A motorcycle. Sarah turned, watching as the sleek black bike slowed down, pulling onto the shoulder a few feet behind her car. The rider dismounted, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in dark jeans, a leather jacket, and a black helmet with a tinted visor. For a split second, her heart pounded. Was this a good Samaritan or someone she should be afraid of? The man reached up, removing his helmet in one fluid motion. The wind tousled his shoulder-length dark hair, and when he turned toward her, Sarah exhaled in relief. His face, framed by a neatly trimmed beard, was surprisingly kind. You all right? His voice was calm, deep, and smooth as gravel worn soft by time. Sarah swallowed, forcing a nervous chuckle. Yeah, just flat tire and, no spare. The stranger glanced down at her car, then back at her, his dark eyes thoughtful. That's a problem. He pulled off his gloves, tucking them into his pocket. Mind if I take a look? Sarah hesitated but nodded. There was something about him, his steady, unhurried presence, that made her feel safe. He crouched beside the tire, running a hand along the shredded rubber before standing with a sigh. You're not driving anywhere on that. She let out a dry laugh. Yeah, figured. The man tilted his head slightly as if making a decision. Then he reached for his phone. Let's get you some help. As he stepped away to make the call, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something about him was strangely familiar. But in that moment, she had no idea just who she was talking to. Sarah stood beside her car, arms crossed against the cold night air, watching as the stranger made a call. His voice was low, confident, and calm, the kind of voice that carried an effortless cool. Within minutes, he hung up and turned back to her. Tow truck will be here in about 20 minutes, he said, slipping his phone into his jacket pocket. She let out a relieved sigh. Thank you, really, I don't know what I would have done. The man shrugged, a small smile playing at the corner of his lips. Stranded on the highway at night? Someone's got to stop. He nodded toward the sedan. You drive this often? Sarah glanced at her old car. Yeah, it's a relic, but it gets me from point A to point B. Well, usually. He chuckled, folding his arms. Reminds me of my first car. Total junk, but I loved it. Sarah found herself smiling. There was something about him, a quiet familiarity, an ease in the way he spoke. They stood there, chatting about cars, road trips, and bad luck with breakdowns. He never once asked her for anything or made her feel like she owed him. He was just there, present. After a while, she noticed him glance at his bike. You should go. I don't want to keep you waiting. He shook his head. Nah, I'll stay until the truck comes. Never leave a damsel in distress. Sarah raised a brow, smirking. Damsel? What is this, a medieval fairy tale? He grinned. Maybe, but you never know when a knight in shining armor will show up. They laughed, the tension of the situation melting away. A few minutes later, headlights appeared in the distance and the tow truck pulled up. The driver stepped out, giving a polite nod. You the one who called? The man beside her nodded. Yeah, she's got a blown tire, no spare. As the driver got to work, Sarah turned back to her mysterious helper. Thank you again, I really mean it. He smiled, lifting his helmet. Anytime. Before she could ask for his name, he slid the helmet back on, straddled his bike, and revved the engine. Take care of yourself, he said, voice slightly muffled. Then, with a smooth motion, he took off, the black motorcycle disappearing into the night. Sarah watched him go, that nagging feeling of familiarity growing stronger. Nice guy, the tow driver commented. She nodded slowly. Yeah, really nice guy. The next few weeks, she couldn't shake the thought of him. The deep voice, the kind smile, the effortless cool. It felt like she had seen him before. Then, one night, her best friend Mia gasped while scrolling through her phone. Sarah, look at this. Sarah leaned in. On the screen was a photo of Keanu Reeves riding a motorcycle in the exact area where she had broken down. Her heart pounded. No way. Sarah stared at the photo on Mia's phone, her stomach flipping. The dark hair, the beard, the black motorcycle. It was him. No way, she whispered, grabbing the phone for a closer look. Mia grinned. Way! Keanu Reeves was spotted riding near that highway the exact night you got stranded. She scrolled down the article, reading aloud. The actor, known for his down-to-earth nature, was seen taking a late-night ride near Los Angeles. Sarah's mind reeled. She had spent nearly an hour talking to him, laughing with him, and she hadn't even realized. Mia was practically bouncing. You got rescued by Keanu freaking Reeves, and you didn't even know? Sarah shook her head, still in shock. He never said his name. He didn't act famous, didn't expect anything. He was just normal. Mia smirked. Because Keanu is a legend like that. You have to tell people. Sarah hesitated. She didn't want to seem like one of those people chasing clout, but this was insane. A total stranger had helped her out of kindness, and that stranger turned out to be one of the most beloved actors in the world. After some encouragement from Mia, she finally typed out her story and posted it online. A few weeks ago, a kind stranger stopped on the highway to help me when I got a flat tire. He waited with me, made sure I was safe, and never once mentioned who he was. Today, I found out it was Keanu Reeves. The world needs more people like him. She set her phone down, not expecting much. But by the next morning, her story had exploded. Thousands of likes, shares. Comments flooded in. Classic Keanu, this man is a real-life superhero. He helped me once, too. Held the door open for me at a gas station and wished me a good day. We must protect Keanu at all costs. News outlets picked up the post, turning it into a viral sensation. Headlines appeared. Keanu Reeves quietly helps stranded woman on the highway, proves yet again he's the nicest guy in Hollywood. Then, one morning, as she was opening the cafe, an envelope arrived at the front counter. Her name was handwritten on it. Inside, a simple note. Sarah, glad you got home safe. Every act of kindness matters. Keep going. Kay. Sarah's breath caught. It was from him. Mia nearly fell over when she saw it. Are you kidding me? Keanu Reeves just wrote you a letter. But that wasn't all. Tucked inside was a VIP ticket to a charity event hosted by Keanu himself. That night, Sarah stood in the crowd as Keanu Reeves took the stage. He smiled in her direction and gave a small nod, just like the one he had given her that night on the highway. And Sarah, still in awe of the kindness of a stranger, knew she'd never forget it.